Amazon. They're a titan, right? One of the most dominant companies on the entire planet. So why on earth are they making the single largest infrastructure bet in corporate history? Let's break down Amazon's absolutely massive $200 billion gamble on AI. First, to really get the stakes here, you have to understand the scale we're talking about. In just the last quarter, Amazon pulled in over $213 billion in revenue. I mean, that's a number that's almost impossible to even wrap your head around. And all of that is built on an incredibly loyal customer base, 220 million Prime members around the world. Look, this isn't just a mailing list. It is one of the most powerful and sticky ecosystems in the history of commerce. Now here's the real powerhouse, the one hiding in plain sight, Amazon's advertising business. Last year, it brought in almost $69 billion. To put that into perspective for you, that's more money than YouTube's entire advertising operation. Yeah, more than YouTube. Which just leads to the big question, right? With that kind of unbelievable dominance, why would you bet the entire future of the company on a single super risky technology? That is the mystery we're going to unpack. To get why they're making this gamble, we first have to understand the empire they've already built. And that empire really stands on 4 key pillars of power. The first pillar, Amazon Web Services. You know it as AWS. It's the undisputed king of cloud computing, with almost a third of the entire global market. AWS isn't just the crown jewel of the company, it's the engine that literally prints money for them. And this slide, wow, this shows you just how powerful it is. That number, that isn't revenue. That's the AWS order backlog. We're talking $244 billion in committed future spending from huge companies locking in deals for years to come. It's a huge vote of confidence that the rest of the corporate world is betting on Amazon for the future. The second pillar is a logistics network that is just a modern marvel. By getting over 3/4 of its orders out from local stations, Amazon has built this competitive moat based on speed and cost that is, well, it's pretty much impossible for anyone else to get across. But, even the strongest empires have some cracks in the foundation. So let's take a look at the hidden vulnerabilities that are really forcing Amazon's hand here, pushing them to make this monumental bet. Okay, here's the biggest threat. While AWS is growing at a really healthy 24%, its main rival, Microsoft's Azure, is growing at almost double that speed. It's being supercharged by its big partnership with OpenAI. The competition is closing that gap, and they're closing it fast. Now, take a look at this number. Amazon's free cash flow, that's the actual cash they have left after paying for everything, it collapsed by 70%. Now, the key thing to understand here is that while the company is still profitable, it's pouring almost every single dollar it makes, and then some, right back into building out for the future. At the same time, the e-commerce battlefield is just fragmenting. It's not a one-front war anymore. You've got Walmart coming at them with same-day delivery. Temu is just eating up the low-price market. TikTok is winning social commerce. And Shein is totally unbeatable in fast fashion. All of a sudden, Amazon is getting attacked from every single side. And if that wasn't enough, there's a massive legal storm brewing on the horizon. The FTC and 17 different states are suing Amazon for being a monopoly. This is not just some headline. This trial is a direct threat to their entire core business model. So you're facing all these threats. What's the answer? Well, for Amazon, it's an audacious, all-in bet on the future of AI. This is the number, $200 billion. That's Amazon's planned capital spending for the coming year. It's a 50% jump, and it's all aimed at one thing: building the infrastructure to power the entire AI revolution. Let's be crystal clear about this. This is not just a big investment. It is the largest infrastructure bet in corporate history. That $200 billion, that's more than the entire annual GDP of countries like Greece or New Zealand. It's just staggering. So what does this $200 billion bet actually look like? Well, it's not just about building a bunch of data centers. No, it's a very carefully planned 3-pronged strategy designed to dominate the entire AI landscape. Okay, so first, on the consumer side, they're supercharging Alexa to be a real AI assistant, basically the conversational front door to the entire Amazon empire. Second, for businesses, they've got AWS Bedrock. You can think of it like a Swiss Army knife for AI. Instead of locking companies into one model, it gives them a choice of different powerful AIs to build on, which is a huge strategic advantage. And third, and this is the absolute key, they're building their own custom AI chips called Trainium. This is the ultimate power move. It gives them a massive hardware advantage, cuts their reliance on companies like NVIDIA, and builds a deep defensive moat around their whole AI ecosystem. And this huge AI bet is also designed to fuel their expansion into other giant industries. They're bundling services to go after the $4 trillion healthcare market. And they're turning their legendary logistics network into a service that competes head-to-head with FedEx and UPS. So all of this leads to a really critical moment. Amazon is truly betting the company. And there are two very, very different futures that could come out of this one massive question. So what are the two possible outcomes here? Well, the bull case is that the bet pays off spectacularly. AI demand just explodes, and Amazon becomes the fundamental infrastructure for the entire global economy for the next decade. The bear case? It's a catastrophic repeat of the 1990s telecom bust, where companies spent billions building for demand that just never showed up. So how will we know which future is actually happening? Well, here are 3 key signals you can watch. First is that AWS backlog is still growing. That's your best indicator for real enterprise AI demand. Second, what's happening with the growth rate gap between AWS and Azure? Is Amazon holding its ground? And third, when does that free cash flow turn positive again? That's the ultimate sign of whether this bet is finally starting to pay off. And all of this brings us to the final trillion-dollar question. Look, Amazon is a company that's defined by making bold, long-term bets that have paid off big time. But they have never, ever bet on this scale before. The question we're all left with is this. Will this $200 billion gamble on AI become Amazon's greatest triumph or its most expensive mistake?